I tell you, they're almost done in Sacramento, this horrible, possibly the worst legislature we have ever seen in all our years.
Oh, the most
covering
destructive.
the Capitol.
The worst, most destructive.
Unbelievable. A lot of it focused on making sure nobody's in prison. And before they go, I think that's still tomorrow, they're just passing all sorts of wacky bills, which we'll talk about. But obviously, one that already got passed and signed by Jerry Brown is the No More Bail bill. And we thought we'd give a few minutes to the other side because they're doing what a lot of people have to do these days to fight Sacramento. They have to take it to the voters. Remember Jessica's Law years ago? And the Public Safety Committee wasn't doing enough when it dealt with sex offenders and sex predators. And that's when a group decided it's time to take it to the people. And Jessica's Law passed. Now, it looks like a coalition of people obviously involved in the bail business have decided that they want the voters in the year 2020 to get rid of this new overhaul of the California bail system, which basically is not an overhaul, it's a complete throwout.
It eliminates bail for most defendants. Now you can commit your crime, and you don't have to put up any money to get out of jail. You're not going to go to jail. They're just going to send you home.
It's going to give judges a lot more power to decide whether or not you're just going to stay in prison or you can go free until we take your case.
No other state has done this. Another first in the nation.
California crap.
Yeah, it is. It's just crap. It's destructive crap because now criminals don't have to put up $1 after they committed their crime.
Jeffrey Clayton is the executive director of the American Bail Coalition and a spokesperson for this effort, which is brand new, I think, yesterday. Let's get him on.
Jeffrey, how are you?
I'm well. How are you guys doing?
Tell us who you represent, what your organization is made up of here.
Yes, I represent the American Bail Coalition, insurance companies that underwrite the bail bondsmen that do all the great work in California. And with the week I'm having a Pepto-Bismol and vodka right now.
Yeah.
Now, this will put the entire bail bond industry out of business in California.
Without question.
And this is supposed to go into effect in 2019?
Yeah, October of 2019. My understanding is with the ballot initiative filed, if the signatures are gathered to put it on the ballot, that'll basically create a 2-year timeout until the voters can vote on it.
Now, you have a tight timeline. Tell us how many signatures and how many days you have.
Yeah, it's 90 days from when the governor signed it, which I believe was Tuesday. I think the deadline's November 26th. It's 300, and I can't remember the exact number, roughly 350,000 signatures, so we have our work cut out for us.
Obviously, you knew this was coming. They were working on this bail reform for a long time. Did you expect it was going to go through?
I didn't expect a bipartisan bad idea like this. I assumed that some compromise would be made. But all criminal justice commentators on both sides of the aisle, whether it's the San Francisco Public Defender, the ACLU, us, are stumped by this, and we think this is bad public policy. So, like I said, it's a bipartisan bad idea.
When you say it's a bipartisan bad idea, did Republicans vote for this thing?
Not that I'm aware. I don't believe any Republicans did. I'd have to go back.
Because as usual, I didn't hear one.
I think
word.
he's saying it's also the reaction to it is bipartisan. It's bad. Looks like Democrats, Republicans, liberals.
Yeah, because when this thing was being debated or run through the system, I didn't hear one Republican assemblyman or state senator say anything publicly complaining about this.
Well, on the Senate floor, there certainly was a lot of opposition. So from the Republican senators just saying,
didn't make
this is
the
a bad
news.
idea. This is going to harm California.
What's your pitch to those in our audience who are not in the bail bondsman business? We understand it's going to decimate the employment of that industry, but what's the best pitch to those people to overturn this?
Well, I think two things. One, the right to bail in California has been protected by California's Constitution since before California was a state. And this bill, although it purports to change the California Constitution, cannot do that. And for that reason, this legislation will create massive chaos and will be the Lawyer Full Employment Act across California, suing every state and every prosecutor around the state. And then secondly...
Well, can I understand? I don't understand that. You have to explain it for a second. You have a right to bail, which means you have a right to get out of jail before your trial.
You have a right to a monetary bail being set.
Right, but it doesn't mean that you have to get bail. You can just be set free, which is what's happening here.
Yes, and what's going to happen eventually is when we find out that we can't change the California Constitution, everybody's just going to get released. That's the inevitability of this because the system they're putting in place one, they can't afford it, and two, it'll never function and be declared mostly unconstitutional. So the end result will be pretty much wholesale release of almost all defendants in California.
Then is this a legal challenge you could make, too, since you're saying it's a constitutional right to bail?
Yeah, if we lose the initiative, that's where we're going to go. And there's any number of constitutional challenges to the system, including using these risk computers to decide, oh, you're too risky, you don't get to get out. That's not going to be upheld under due process.
One of the arguments we heard, Jeffrey, we had a number of people on yesterday from the bail bonds business, and they said it's an exaggeration that poor people never get bail. There's all sorts of agreements and ways that they can work out some sort of a payment that doesn't make them broke.
Yeah, that's generally the case. You know, we looked at some data down in the San Diego jail, and of the, I think it was like 5,500 people, 100 people were in there on misdemeanors that they didn't post bail, and of those, most of them were 3-time DUIs and domestic violence offenses. And so the numbers just aren't there on these low-level offenses.
100 out of
what I tell people is, we released everybody in California already. There's nobody left except violent people.
100 out of 5,500 had a problem.
Right.
Because Bob Hertzberg, the big bloated liar, came on screaming that all these poor people were being unfairly jailed because they didn't have the bail money.
Yeah, maybe in Alabama, but not in Burbank. I'll tell you that. It's just not the case in California.
All right, so when are you guys going to start the signature collecting? Very soon, I take it.
Yeah, we're going to go through the titling process at the Attorney General's office, and then I think kick out from a week from Monday, and then we'll begin.
Oh, do you have enough money to hire the signature gatherers?
Yeah, I mean, we're fundraising right now, but I think we have enough resources to get this on the ballot.
Because that's what causes a lot of these movements to fizzle out, is you need millions of dollars to get the signatures, and a lot of good ideas die because there's no financial backing for it.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to do that. Plus, we have the agent force of 15,000 people working in the bail industry that can help us too. So I think we'll get over the hurdle.
All right, and then once you file it, it temporarily blocks it?
Yep, exactly. And then I think for 2 years we can go back to the drawing board and figure out, what we really need to do about California's bail system. And there are solutions. They just, nobody wanted to talk to us about it.
Right. Well, Jeffrey Clayton, thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, guys. Have a good afternoon.
Executive Director of the American Bail Coalition. The exact number of signatures they need is 365,880. Now, 90 days is a short window, but because the law doesn't take effect until October of next year, there's time to validate the signatures, and then they can put this on hold till everybody votes for it in the year 2020. So we're still more than a year away from the no bail system if it does happen, and if they get enough signatures, it won't happen until we vote on it in 2020.